Hello everyone, I am Monali Reshambala, Assistant Professor from LG Institute of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to talk about Pulmonary Rehabilitation Part 2. It is a part of syllabus for final year physiotherapy students of Gujarat University and the subject is Physiotherapy in Cardiopulmonary Conditions. I have divided pulmonary rehabilitation in three parts. In previous part, we have already discussed definition, the pulmonary rehabilitation goals and outcome, inclusion and exclusion criteria, as well as pulmonary rehabilitation team. In this video, we are going to discuss the assessment of a patient, then components of the pulmonary rehabilitation, exercise prescription, physiological changes due to training. So let's first discuss the assessment. Assessment of patient should be done and then followed by problem list. Goals should be made for proper pulmonary rehabilitation. It includes first the history. Usually 90% of the cases can be solved if a perfect history is being taken. So it will include presenting illness, history of presenting illness, previous medical history, drug history, family history, social history, whether the patient was taking tobacco or smoking, etc. can also be included. Next is subjective assessment. Subjective assessment will include breathlessness, cough, sputum and hemoptysis, wheeze, chest pain, incontinence and other symptoms like fever, headache and peripheral edema. These all things can be inquired to the patient like breathlessness, whatever the amount of or severity of breathlessness patient is having, at what time he is having, what are the aggravating and relieving factors for dyspnea, etc. can also be asked. We can also grade the dyspnea using the grade NYHA grading scale. Furthermore, we can do activity of daily living of the patient by London Chest Activity of Daily Living Scale. We can also check activity of health related quality of life by Chronic Respiratory Questionnaire and St. George Respiratory Questionnaires. For dyspnea, baseline and traditional dyspnea index and Medical Research Council breathlessness score as well as Bohr scale for perceived dyspnea can also be taken. Here is a London Chest Activity of the Daily Scale, where routine scale self-care activities, domestic work, physical and leisure activities can be graded, and whatever amount of symptom patient may feel, he has to grade it accordingly. And by that way, we can get to know that what is the level of a patient's activity of daily living. With the pulmonary rehabilitation, our goal will be that we will be improving their score in such a way that they will not have any kind of symptoms during daily activities. Here is a Bogue scale. Second one on the right side we can see is the modified Bogue scale. And usually patients should feel activities like fairly light to light in their ideal activities. But if it is quite high, the score is high, that means patient is having severity of the disease. Then objective assessment. General observation like patient's position, any drains or drips or oxygen supply etc. has been given or not. Then observation of the chest shape, breathing pattern, chest movement etc. Palpation of the trachea position, chest expansion, then percussion, auscultation of breath sound, heart sound, any abnormal breath sounds or heart sound are there, we can also auscultate. Exercise capacity of the patient, exercise tolerance test we can take for that, examination of heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, spirometry, etc. And we can also check some of the blood reports like for ABG analysis or chest radiographs, a CT scan, anything is being taken or anything is there with the patient. Next, we are going to discuss is components of the pulmonary rehabilitation. There are namely 6 components of pulmonary rehabilitation which will include general care, pulmonary care, exercise and functional training, education, psychological management and physiotherapy management. So let's discuss one by one in detail. One is general care. All these patients must undergo all 6 components So physical and medical diagnostic evaluation to determine a specific diagnosis and assessment of the severity of the disease has been already taken. Now prescription of medicine and oxygen support should be given. For prevention, there should be immunization, vaccination, smoking cessation, avoidance of environmental irritations like foggy atmosphere or anything. Patient should avoid going to that kind of atmosphere. Then adequate hydration should be there and proper nutrition should be there. Assist for activity or sleep related oxygen need, whether patient is having sleep apnea or the night patient's SpO2 level decreases, then he requires oxygen therapy. Pulse oximetry or serial arterial blood gas measures are used whether the patient requires supplemental oxygen during activity or exercise or at night while sleeping. Next is pulmonary care. Pulmonary care will include relaxation or relaxed position for the patient. So relaxation of especially the accessory muscles of breathing is important. Then breathing techniques. Patient is not being able to take diaphragmatic breathing, we need to teach them. If patient is having difficulty in breathing in the lower basal area, we can give them posterior basal segmental breathing exercises, etc. Then bronchial drainage or postural drainage techniques if there is a accumulation of secretion in any of the lobes of the lung or segments of the lung. Then coughing and huffing technique. Any kind of forced expiratory techniques can also be included. Posture to improve breathing. These kind of patient or any respiratory patients may develop either a kyphotic posture, so we need to prevent it. Bronchodilators, bronchial hygiene, and respiratory assistive devices can also be given. Patients with copious sputum need 3 to 4 respiratory treatment each day, whereas other patients may require treatment only during acute illness. Next is exercise and functional training, which will make the patient independent. So, instruction for energy conservation, activity pacing, and use of adaptive equipment are necessary to optimize the patient's ability to carry out usually daily activities for homework and recreation. These all things are we are going to discuss in pulmonary rehabilitation part 3 in my next video. So do watch it in detail. Also exercises to improve strength, flexibility, cardiopulmonary endurance and respiratory muscle training etc. are taught. Fourth component of pulmonary rehabilitation is education. Patient and his or her family education is provided with anatomy and pathophysiology of diseases, medical management, readily detected and treatment of acute illness, use and misuse of oxygen therapy, about diet and activities of daily living. All these things should be thoroughly make patient and his family understood, and whenever required they can also help the patient in reducing their exacerbation. Fifth component is psychological management. It includes stress reduction, as we have already discussed. If the person is having asthma and when on the day of attack he gets anxious, then his bronchospasm is going to increase and his condition is going to worsen. So he has to understand how to manage his stress level, how to reduce his anxiety, and think about the treatment of it. So management techniques should also be taught. Behavioral and lifestyle changes, financial assistance, and vocational rehabilitation services can be provided in a component of psychological management. Last is physical therapy management. Physical therapy not only conduct exercise sessions, they can also provide educational sessions, smoking cessation program, weight control, and stress management and relaxation techniques. They can sometimes also work as a psychological management also. So let's discuss exercise prescription. So these are the exercises can be given and can be prescribed in this manner to gain some of the physiological changes. So it depends whether exercises are to be prescribed for strength, endurance, and then see the muscle response. It is based on three components: frequency of training, duration of training, and intensity of training, as well as mode of exercise. So which mode of exercise we would like to give, like walking, stationary cycling, bicycling, stair climbing, swimming. So these all are the endurance exercises. It is also known as FIT principle: frequency, intensity, time, and type of exercises. So how often they need to do, whether they need to do daily or twice a week or 3 times a week, how long they need to do, that is 4 week, 4 week, 8 week, or 12 week. Length of session should be either 40 to 60 minutes. Time of day, like they should do in afternoon or morning. If a person is having more symptoms in morning, then he should do exercises in afternoon area. Then exercises like resisted, unloaded training, aerobic, walking, which type of exercise we want to give. Intensity limited by dyspnea or by VO2 max. Regime, endurance or maximal. Assessment, physiological and functional assessment. Okay, so all these things included as an exercise prescription. We need to take consider to all these things and decide exercise or prescribe exercise to the patient. If you see the physiological response to training, it improves mechanical efficiency. If the mechanical efficiency of the person has been improved, it may be seen with the improvement in stride length or gait coordination. That means patient will be much confident with their pulmonary capacity. Then on cardiovascular, we can see reduction in heart rate, minute ventilation, lowering of onset of the lactic acidosis, lowering maximal oxygen uptake, etc. if person is going from training. And in muscles, we may see with endurance training, there will be sub-maximal sustained effort result in transformation from type 2B to type 2A fibers. So there will be increasing oxidative capacity. So these kind of patient does not get fatigue much easily. And if we see for strength training, then there will be increase in size of muscle cell, number of myofibrils, so to improve oxygen uptake and ability to maintain aerobic muscle metabolism for prolonged period time. To measure exercise tolerance, laboratory test and field test can also be used. It is need to set intensity, assess the benefit of rehabilitation program, motivate the patient with exercise. Laboratory test measuring maximal oxygen consumption, heart rate, workload, arterial oxygenation, blood lactate levels, etc. And field tests like 6 or 12-minute walking test or shuttle walking test are also be used. And by that way we can set the goal. Prescription of strengthening and endurance of upper and lower limb both are equally important, as well as flexibility exercises are also important. Here are the references. Thank you.